if you haven't been here, let me give you the 90-second recap because we're in the third week. And so Joseph is a guy that is the 11th brother of 12 sons of Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob is his dad. He had 12 sons. Now, Jacob got in some trouble with his brother Esau. They were real competitive with each other. They he stole his birthright from him. They didn't have a good relational equity with each other for a really long time. And so you would think that Jacob would learn that it's not good to have a favorite son. And yet the Bible says that he's very open about the fact that he loves his son Joseph more than the rest of them. In fact, he makes a coat of many colors and he gives it to him, has him wear it, and it's kind of a representation of this is my favorite, and not only this, I'm gonna give him an easy life and the rest of you are gonna have to work hard, but I'm gonna give him the best of everything. And so because of that, can you believe it or not, his brothers are jealous and mad and hate him. Then God gives Joseph a dream, tells him basically, hey, one day you're gonna be ruler over a bunch of things, so much so that your brothers and your family are gonna come and bow down to you. And he thinks it'd be a brilliant idea to let his brothers know that ahead of time. And so he's like, look, I know you can beat me in basketball right now. I know that you win every time we wrestle, but one day you're gonna bow down to me. And they're basically like, well, that's dumb. I hate that as well. And so the Bible says they hated him all the more. In fact, he has two dreams. He tells them both of them. And their decision after that is basically, hey, why don't we just kill this guy? Because if we kill him, we also kill the dream. But how many of you know no one can kill the dream that God has placed inside of you? So they attack him, they throw him in a pit, they take off his coat of many colors, and their plan is to kill him, but they end up instead selling him into slavery to the Ishmaelites who take him to Egypt. They take that coat, they put blood of an animal on it, take it back to their dad and lie to him, tell him, hey, your son was killed, he was mauled by animals, he's dead. And so now Jacob believes that his favorite son is dead. It's not true, but that's what he believes. So he's mourning his son while Joseph is on his way to Egypt to be sold as a slave. He gets sold into a guy named Potiphar's house, and Potiphar is the chief of the army, the military. He's the chief of all the things there in Egypt, basically a super important dude. And Joseph comes into his house, and it says that the Lord is with Joseph, gives him favor, and so much so that everything he touches and blesses, even in Potiphar's house, turns to gold. And so Potiphar puts Joseph in charge of his whole house. It says that literally he only worries about whether am I gonna eat pizza or tacos for dinner? That's the only thing he's worried about because Joseph's in charge of everything else. Well, Joseph's wife, Potiphar's wife also recognizes, there's something good looking and handsome and blessed about this Joseph guy. I want a piece of this. So it says that for years, he's in Potiphar's house over a decade, that for years, day after day, she would come to him and say, hey, why don't you and I connect? Forget about Potiphar. But Joseph said, hey, it doesn't matter what the temptation is. I will not let false fantasy deter me from the dream that God has placed in my heart. And so he says, nope, I'm not gonna do it. I won't play around with you, lady. And one day she surprises him, grabs the coat, takes it from him, and then runs to her servants and then to her husband and says, oh, Joseph, he tried to sleep with me. And everybody's kind of like, lady, we've been watching you for years, but Potiphar has to do something about it. And so even though as the chief executioner, the chief of the guard, he should have rightfully executed Joseph, instead, he sends him into prison. He sends him into the prison that is the same prison that all of Pharaoh's people that he gets mad at, he throws into prison as well. And so that's where he sits, that's where we find him, that's where we are at in the story of Joseph. And so if you missed the last 2 weeks, you should still go back and check it out, but at least you know now where we are in the story. All right. It's funny that Tim talked about his vacations because I'm going to talk at the top about my vacations. We're apparently flexing on our vacations today. But this year, in the end of May, top of June, my family and I got to go to the Big Island in Hawaii. Shout out Mele. Where's Mele in the room? That's where she's from. And we got the opportunity, there you are, to go and to hang out together. It was our first vacation after Easton and Brady got married. And people always ask me, do you hire a professional photographer to go with you on vacation? And I say, yes, his name is Easton. If he wants to eat, he has to take our pictures. That's just the rules. that's the way it goes. And so here's our beautiful family photo that we got to take together. And the truth is, my husband is like a secret travel agent. I think that might be his like job one day whenever he retires. His next job might be that he would plan vacations for people because he's great at it. He finds the best deals, he books the hotel, he books the airfare, he books the rental car, he pays for the meals. He does all the things and we're super grateful for it. But there was one thing when we went to the Big Island that I really wanted to do. Mele had made a great list of like must-do things, and one of them was that it's one of the only places in the world that you can swim with manta rays late at night. And Aaron got stung by a stingray in California a few years ago, and so he was not super excited about it. But I did all the research. Manta rays and stingrays, they look the same, but they are not the same. There is no stinger on the manta ray. In fact, they're joyful, great creatures. And I thought, this is gonna be a wonderful, beautiful memory together that we're gonna take. And so it was my one contribution to the vacation was that, hey, I want us to swim with manta rays late at night. And so one night we go, and I am typically what you call a pool person, not a ocean person. But I was excited, like if this is so so well known and so well sold, surely it's super safe, right? So we get on the boat, we go out into the middle of the ocean. In fact, at one point Brady said, "You realize we're in the middle of the ocean in the night?" And I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be great. So we get off the boat. They give us, there's like one raft for each group, and then, kid you not, they give you like a 99-cent that you buy at the dollar store pool noodle to support your feet, and then you just hold on to the raft with the rest of you. That's all the flotation equipment that they give us. And so we go out there, we get out there, they turn on the lights, and the manta rays start coming. It's so beautiful, it's so peaceful, they're having fun with each other. There's probably like a dozen of them out there. We don't believe in luck, but they said that if it touched you, then you were lucky, and I got touched 5 times, so I would just like to say, I'm doing pretty good. And then all of a sudden, I heard the one guy yell to the other lady, "Hey, Rebecca, we're gonna move this direction. We're gonna go a little bit further west." And I'm like, what is happening? Then suddenly she wasn't listening, and so he said her name again, "Rebecca," like very intense and strong, and I'm like, oh, he needs to get a hold of Rebecca. What is happening that he needs to get a hold of her? And all of my mom antennas are starting to flare while holding on to a raft, trying to support myself and keep the pool noodle under my feet. And so all of a sudden, then he's like, "We're gonna go to the west, keep going." And I hear the guy next to me say something about this word, shark. And on the inside of me, what? A shark? I'm freaking out. I promised my family this would be so safe. It's going to be so fun. Oh my word, I don't understand what's going on. But they're trying to remain calm and then not even let us know what's happening. But I'm smart, so I can understand what's happening. Suddenly, all of the boats are surrounding all of the groups, and they're like, one at a time, we're gonna swim over and get back on the boat, and they're talking all peaceful. One at a time, I'll nudge you on the shoulder when it's your turn. And somehow, when we got in the water, they needed some volunteers to go on the other side of the raft. And I thought, well, that'll be great. I'll be right across from my kids, so I'll get to see the joy in their faces at this wonderful excursion that I have booked and come up with since their dad did everything else, right? But that means that I'm on the other side of the raft, and so I am not first or second or third or 12th to get onto the boat. And I'm looking at my family, and they're all already back up on the boat, and then this young, beautiful couple who recently got married, but he is newly married and doesn't want to get in a fight, is not in any way helping his wife who cannot climb up the ladder for the life of her. And therefore I'm saying, be calm, it's chilled, you're fine, you're safe, it's no problem. They would take care of it if there was something wrong. And then they turned off the lights. And I'm like, they're turning off the lights so the shark won't see us. And every bit of chill and every bit of calm left me. And though I love order and organization, no more order, no more organization. I literally just shoved the little Hawaiian dude out of the way, climbed over, went right behind the guy with his newly married wife, climbed up on the boat, sat down next to Brady and did like this, because I know I broke the rules. I know I made a fool of myself, but I'm not about to let my family watch me get eaten by a shark. Because homegirl can't go quicker, right? Later, McKinley said, "It's a reef shark, Mom. You should have asked me. They don't hurt humans. It's no big deal. We thought it was cool." It was not cool. But how do you react sometimes when you feel stuck? And often it's our reaction to the stuck moments that determine everything. It's where we're starting today. We're not in shark-infested waters, but in prison with Joseph. Because when he felt stuck, he showed us what it looks like to respond properly, to respond calmly, to respond in faith and in trust that God has a plan, rather than to shove everybody out of the way, make a fool of himself, and try to save himself. He finds himself 2 steps forward, but about 12 steps back. Have you ever felt that way? He was in his father's house as the favorite, then he ends up in a pit. And then he works his way back up in Potiphar's house as the number 2 dude in the whole house until this lady shows up, come on, Linda, and sends him all the way into prison. I'm happy to report that Linda made it safely into witness protection, and so she's gonna be, if you weren't here last week, you don't know the joke, so you just gotta go watch it. But we find him in prison. And it says the keeper of the prison put Joseph, again, in charge of all the prisoners who were in prison. Whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. The keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that Joseph was in charge of. Why? Because the Lord was with him. He had favor, again, wherever he went. It doesn't matter where you go, the favor of God follows you. It doesn't matter what happens to you, fair or unfair. The Lord is always right by your side. You can trust and believe it, that he's taking care of it. Even when you don't see it, he's still working. And so it says, whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. So in prison, he's got favor again. But I still imagine that he had to look around at his circumstances and think, are you kidding me? Prison was your plan? That's where I'm at right now. I'm so stuck. I don't understand. But again, he's the leader now. And so now he's in charge of other people. And it says that one day the king, the Pharaoh, got mad at his cupbearer. The cupbearer is like his butler, but he's also the guy who takes the drink of the cup first to make sure it's not poisonous before he gives it to the king. And then the baker. That the 2 of those got into, trouble with the Pharaoh. It said that he was offended at them. And so he threw them into prison. And there they were put under Joseph's charge, under his command and attention. And so they were there together for a while, it says. And then in Genesis 40:6-7, it says, Joseph came to them in the morning, the cupbearer and the baker, and he saw that they were troubled. So he asked Pharaoh's officers who were with him in custody, "Why are your faces downcast today?" You see, Joseph saw that the cupbearer and the baker were sad. He refused to let his suffering shrink his world. Has that ever happened to you? Suffering makes us self-focused. And a lot of times we sulk instead of serve. We get stuck in our own suffering. Now listen, if I'm running a race with you and I suddenly sprain my ankle, I'm going to care more about my ankle than I am if you are properly hydrated while we're in the race. That is a human natural reaction, but at a certain point, my suffering cannot keep me sulking and not paying attention to the people around me. Are you isolating because of your inconveniences? Have you stopped seeing and caring about other people? Are you surviving instead of serving? Are you sulking in the suffering? Have you shifted into survival mode? It's really easy to do when we feel stuck, isn't it? Have you begun speaking down to yourself and then it makes you only speak about yourself and then you really are only so focused on yourself that you can't see anyone else around you? But see, for Joseph, he recognized, I'm going to choose compassion over complaint. I'm going to understand there's purpose for me here, even in the midst of my pain. He didn't let his pain blind him to the people around him. And so he says, hey guys, you look super sad today. What's wrong with you? What's going on? And so in verse 8, they said to him, well, we have had dreams, and there is no one to interpret them. In that time and in that country, it was customary that if you had a dream, that really you should have it interpreted. And they had magicians, they had people that of like false gods. These were like their jobs to interpret dreams. And so it's likely that there were other magicians and whatnot, people who probably one day the Pharaoh didn't like their dream, threw them in prison too, right? That there were probably other people there who could interpret the dream, but here, no one can interpret the dream. And so Joseph said to them, well, do not interpretations belong to God? Please tell them to me. And so the cupbearer and the baker both tell him their dreams. But I think what's so important here to see is that Joseph doesn't ditch the dream. Because if it was me and somebody said to me as Joseph, I had a dream, I would be like, dream? Bro, that got me in a whole lot of trouble last time. I ain't talking about dreams no more. A lot of us, we reject what reminds us of past pain because we've already been through a whole lot. I've already been through that hard thing and I don't need to go through any more hard things. And so we put up walls and we call them boundaries to keep us safe from getting hurt again, from being in pain again. And for some of you, that's where you find yourself, not just because of an actual prison or a stuck moment, but maybe you just like, I already tried friendship and relationship and I got betrayed and hurt. And so I already been there, I already done that, I ain't doing that again. I already tried restoring my family, but then I'm the one who instigated the conversation. And so it all blew up, and now we can't even have Christmas together because it was really a big issue. And so you know what? I've already tried that, I ain't doing that again. We already went to re-engage, we already paid for counseling, and no, we weren't honest, and we didn't open up all the way, but we already tried that, and it didn't really work, and so I ain't gonna go there again. Maybe you tried to go after some of the dreams that God's placed in your heart and you hit a wall, or you found what feels like failure, and so you said, you know what, I'm gonna cut the dream off and not allow it even to be in my mind or heart anymore. Maybe you tried to get an accountability partner or someone that you could share your struggles with, and instead of loving you and carrying you and taking your hand and carrying you through, instead they judged you and they told everybody about it, and so you feel like, you know what, I already tried that, I ain't gonna do that again. I tried sobriety, I tried staying clean. That's hard. Do you understand? I lost friendships and relationships and then I fell back into addiction, so what good was it anyway? And as the dream is represented to Joseph, he didn't quit, he didn't abandon it, he didn't bury it. He used every gift that caused him suffering to serve someone else. And I wonder if we're willing to use the things that have caused us suffering to love and serve and help someone else. To say, hey God, I will go ahead and face the thing that caused me failure so that someone else might find freedom. Ask yourself, are you willing? Don't ditch the dream. He faced it. He didn't reject the dream just because it brought him pain. He didn't retire the gift just because it got misunderstood. And I think so often our gifts get misunderstood when they're not fully baked and they're not fully come to fruition. And so instead we shut it down and hide it instead of just allowing God to develop it because we're like, I've been there, done that. I don't want to get hurt again. When you're willing to deal with your defaults, y'all, it's hard work. It is hard work. Pastor Tim be trying to talk to us about these daddy issues, and I'm like, bro, I've been trying to get over it since I'm 7 years old. Why are you bringing it back up? Why are you making me put it back out on the table? Do you know how painful and difficult that is? But when I can recognize that maybe that pain God wants to use to purpose, to bring something, some peace, some hope, some joy to somebody else. Don't ditch the dream, y'all. So they tell the dream, the cupbearer and the baker. The cupbearer's like, I'll go first. So I had this vine and it grew into 3 different branches, and then the branches blossomed into these giant clusters of grapes. So I took the grapes and I squeezed them into the cup, and then I put the cup back into Pharaoh's hand. And he's like, so that's crazy, right? What does that mean? And so Joseph, I don't know if he prayed and went away or if God just gave it to him right then. I don't know how it works, but Joseph interprets the dream for him, and he says, well, basically what that means is in 3 days, your old job you had before will be restored to you, and Pharaoh will restore you back to your rightful place in the palace. And he's like, sweet, that's amazing. And so then the baker's like, oh, cool, I had a dream too. Let me tell you about mine. And so he says, I had 3 cake baskets and they were on top of my head. And in the very top basket was a whole bunch of bread, all these baked goods that I had baked. And the birds were eating out of the basket. So what's that mean for me? And Joseph's like, well, about that. For you, what it means is that in 3 days, the Pharaoh is going to bring you back into the palace and he's going to cut off your head. And then he's going to hang you and the birds will eat your body from the area where you are hung. That's awesome. That sucks. And what happened was that in 3 days, both of those things came to pass. He interprets the dream for them. But something that happens here in the midst of this exchange that is really important for us to understand that Joseph kind of, as he's interpreting the dream, he still declares some truth about who he is. And so we cannot get comfortable in the cell we find ourselves in. We cannot get comfortable in the prison just because we're stuck right now and even have purpose in the place where we are. We cannot get comfortable there. There's this old movie, Shawshank Redemption. If you're old like me, you've seen it, I'm sure, a bagillion times. So there's 2 guys, their real names are Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. And so basically this guy on the left, he gets accused and sent to prison for life for murdering his wife and her lover. She was cheating on him. And he says he didn't do it, and the movie kind of leaves you like, I don't know if he did or not. Maybe it was his cellmate, we don't know. And the fact of the matter is the whole point of the movie is him trying to escape from the prison. And at one point, he and Morgan Freeman are talking and sit down, and Morgan Freeman says this. He says, these walls, these prison walls, are funny. First, you hate them, then you get used to them. Enough time passes, you get so that you depend on them. Are you depending on the walls that are around you? Maybe the ones that you've placed for yourself, or maybe the ones that have been placed around you. But Joseph knows that even though he's being used and has purpose in the prison, that's not his final destination. And so he says to the cupbearer, only remember me when it is well with you, and please do me the kindness to mention me to Pharaoh, and so get me out of this house. For I was indeed stolen out of the land of the Hebrews. It's been over a decade since he's been taken from his family, but he's like, I still know who I am. I still remember where I belong, and this is not my home. He says, and here also I have done nothing that should put me into the pit. He's like, hey, give me the opportunity when you go back and you are alive, remind some people, hey, I'm down here. Tell somebody, please, and get me out of this mess. But sometimes we get comfortable where we are and we stop even fighting, trying to get out of the place that we're in. Have you settled into your dysfunction? Have you normalized what's not actually normal, but now you call it, this is just is what it is? Are you building your life around your pain to protect yourself instead of building your life around purpose? Are you identifying more with your prison than you are than the potential of actually getting out of there someday? Are you starting to call yourself by the name of where you're stuck? I'm just anxious. I'm not really a good friend. I'm just the one that causes all the problems. I'm just too loud. I'm not enough. Are you identifying as your stuckness instead of recognizing there's purpose in what God is developing in you right now? Are you working so hard to manage what you should just be moving past? Have you made peace with something that God just desperately is trying to redeem and restore in your life? He's a God who redeems. He's a God who restores. And if it's not complete, then it's not done. But sometimes we're willing to settle for our stuckness because going on the other side of that feels really hard. Yes, you'll have to have a conversation. Yes, you'll have to try again. Yes, you might have to face that you had fault too. You might have to be willing to say, oh man, I screwed up here. Oh man, some of this prison is my own fault. But Joseph didn't sit in discomfort. He didn't sit down, he stood up. And he said, I have a calling, I have purpose. And when there's an opportunity for me, I'm gonna use it. And I'm gonna also take that opportunity to remind everybody, this is not where I belong. So I'm gonna do everything in my power to get out of this place, because I ain't gonna be stuck for the rest of my life. And God has more for you. And I don't care how long you felt stuck. He doesn't want you stuck. I don't care how long you feel like you've been left there, like you've been forgotten, like no one sees you, like maybe it wasn't your fault. Maybe it has absolutely nothing to do with you, but can I tell you, he loves you too much to leave you right where you are. It is okay to not be okay, but we do not have to stay there. We have the opportunity to step into the fullness that God has, because you're not a prisoner. You're just purpose waiting for release. You are not stuck. You are being shaped for something sacred. You are not a captive. You are a calling in progress. You're not forgotten. You are a future voice that he wants to use if you'll be willing to speak up when he tells you to. You don't need to just survive. Recognize that right now you are being sharpened for purpose. And just like Joseph, you are not imprisoned to be a prisoner. You're being positioned for greater impact. And so the cupbearer goes up. In fact, what happens is the Pharaoh has a birthday party, so he calls them both out of the prison, and I guess makes a whole to-do and show about it. And then the cupbearer, he restores to his rightful place, and then the cupbearer's like, you gotta go down and get my friend Joseph. He's the one who interpreted this dream for me. Man, you gotta find him. He's awesome. He's gonna help you. He could come hang out with us here. I don't know what we could do with him. No, that's not what happened at all. In fact, it says the chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. So he gets put back at his rightful place. He's got his position again, and he just forgets all about the guy who gave him the peace to stand still enough to wait for the Pharaoh to put him back in his rightful position. He forgets about him. Like, can you imagine what if the baker went first, and then the Pharaoh's like, off with his head? And if the cupbearer had not had his dream interpreted, he might likely have made a plan and a scheme right then to get back at it, or to stab. Maybe he's gonna grab somebody's sword and stab. He probably thinks he's next. He doesn't know. But instead, he has the peace to just stand there and wait because Joseph interpreted the dream. And yet, even though Joseph went out on a limb for him, he totally forgot about him after that. I'm sure there's been people in your life that you showed up for time and time again. And when you needed them most, they didn't even pick up the phone. When you were hoping that what you did for them in a season, they would return the favor in another season, and you look around like, are you serious? You don't remember what I did or how I've been or what happened? Has it ever happened to you? It happened to Joseph. For 2 full years, he was forgotten. And I imagine at first that every morning he would wake up and think, okay, today's the day that he's gonna remember it. He's gonna say, I wonder what happened. Probably they put him back in like a training program. So it's probably gonna be a couple weeks before he goes before Pharaoh again. And so that's okay. I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna iron my outfit. I'm gonna be ready to go. I'm gonna have my speech prepared for what I'm gonna say. And for the first few weeks, I'm sure that he is every day like just looking hopefully, expectant and waiting and knowing it's coming. I'm sure my release is coming soon. But then at a certain point, I imagine it shifts from hope to hopeless. And he starts to think, wait a minute, seriously? Did you forget? Maybe I interpreted the dream wrong. Maybe they're both dead. God, is this really your plan for me? Did you really say that? Are you even up there? Do you even hear me down here? Was all of this for nothing? Did I really stay a righteous man so I could rot in prison? Are you kidding me? I felt that way before. My grandmother passed away 2 weeks ago, and we got to go back to Oklahoma this week for her funeral. And she was really the matriarch of our family, so faithful, so servant-hearted. I love her. I'm so grateful for the legacy in my life because of who she is. And while we were there, though, I just couldn't help but remember how I felt when we left home and moved here to Texas. Because at that time, we had dug ourselves out of the pit. We were working hard. We had just bought a home that we were gonna totally redo, that we thought we were gonna live in and like retire in. We kept calling it our forever home. I had made my way through and was working on a traveling makeup artist team. There were 6 of us, and we went to Oklahoma, like West Texas. We went to Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas. I'm like having the best time, thinking like, God, this is the purpose and plan. And while you have me working here in this way, part-time, while I'm raising my kids, we have such a great community. I'm taking my kids to the park with friends all the time. We have a wonderful church that we're connected to. We're serving in ministry in great ways and capacity. And man, you really have made a way in our life. Our whole family lives within a 10-mile radius of each other. We're going to grandma's house on Sundays after church for pot roast. Like, this beautiful dream that you gave me is just coming into fruition. I can't believe it. And then there was like unequivocally no doubt that he told us we had to move here. And I remember getting here and thinking, really? Nobody knows my name. I went from 6th on this team traveling around to 226 on a list of girls in Dallas-Fort Worth. You know how cute Dallas-Fort Worth makeup artist girls be, and I'm just some random girl from Oklahoma. Nobody knows my name. We don't have a church family. We don't even know our neighbors. This is the plan that you brought me here for? Like, cool, you got him a promotion in life, and like, there looks like an avenue for a dream for him, but what about me? And I can remember sitting on the couch and crying and being like, I just want to go home. And he was like, super nice. He would say, we are home. And then we hadn't gone to re-engage yet. And so I'd be like, oh yeah. And I didn't stay in my circle. And so we would get in a lot of fights. And it didn't feel like a fresh start. It felt like a punishment. And I didn't feel like I did anything wrong. So I didn't understand why the step backward when it felt like we were building momentum. And the silence from God in that season really felt to me like he had forgotten us. It's funny, you hear that phrase like, the teacher is always quiet during a test. And I always was like, what? God is not yes, he's a teacher, like, I get it, but like, we're not in school in like math class, and what are you talking about? I can ask God if I need help with algebra. What do you mean? I was so confused, but I feel like it's more like the analogy of when my kids were young, and we would be at the store, and they were hungry, and I knew they were, and so I'm planning to take them to Chick-fil-A right after we check out, but they always got that candy this low, right? They know what they're doing. And they would start screaming for a sucker, and I'm like, no, we're not having a sucker, we're going to eat. And it didn't matter what I said. It didn't matter if I said, I got ice cream, I can get you after, eat your nuggets, it's gonna be good. It didn't matter what I said, they're just throwing a fit because they want a sucker. And sometimes in life, we're like, why aren't you talking to me? And he's like, you're just throwing a giant fit. You can't hear me because you won't stop talking and yelling and throwing a fit. And all I could do for my kids back then was pick them up, take them to the car, buckle them in, and take them where we're going. Sometimes all he can do is pick us up, put us in the car, buckle us in, and take us where we're going. And if it feels like he's silent, he hasn't forgotten you. You just might be so frustrated that you can't hear him say, I got you. Trust me. Just be patient 5 more minutes. I have a plan. It's gonna be good. That sucker's not even worth it, bro. Just like Joseph, I felt like I was in a place I didn't choose, waiting on a promise that felt delayed. But I've come to realize that just because it feels like a step back doesn't mean it is. And there is a whole workshop in the waiting room if we will let him. Joseph got taken from his master in Potiphar's house and put into prison. And I imagine that his character preceded him. And so when he got there, he got put right away in charge again and taking care of things and establishing who he was, and he stayed faithful. And what I love about the story is that for the 2 years after he's forgotten, it doesn't say, and then he just gave up. And then he quit being a leader. And then he quit doing all the things that had got him in the favorable position that he was in the first place. He didn't do it. He just stayed faithful. He recognized that the delay was not a denial, that the waiting room was not a wasted space. It doesn't say it, but I imagine that every day instead he got up and he was like, okay, God, I do not understand, but I will still give today my best effort. I will still do what you've asked me to do. If there's another dream I can interpret today, bring it my way and I'll help out. If there's somebody else that I can encourage and show them the ropes of this prison place, like you helped me do, God, then bring it to me and I'll do it. He didn't treat the prison like a punishment. He treated it like a workshop, a training ground. Delay doesn't mean disqualification. It actually means development if you'll let it. If you'll allow it, that while you're waiting, you're not withering, you're being strengthened. The pain and the time, neither one will God ever waste. He will use both for your purpose and likely for the purpose for someone else. And even when Joseph was forgotten by man, he was being formed by God. He was being established and created. And we talked about it on Mother's Day. Waiting does not mean wasting. It just means a moment for God to continue to finish what he started, the work that he is doing in you. And forgotten does not mean it is finished, y'all. You see, I believe that Joseph was singing that song that we were singing this morning. And another one is on its way. Because I should have been killed by my brothers. But then somehow instead, God, your grace was enough that you pulled me out and I got put into slavery. And I should have been executed by Potiphar when his wife accused me of sleeping with her. Even though I didn't do it, I should have been executed. But you delivered me and your grace set me free. And so I just believe that another one is on its way. That another opportunity for you to show me your grace and your mercy, and that you've not forgotten me, but instead you had a plan this whole time. Another one really is on its way. And I just gotta tell you, I felt it so strong in my spirit this morning. The Holy Spirit, he was here in this place. And I hope if he was tugging at your heart to trust those words, that you will actually believe it. That if he told the sun where to stand, and it does, he'll do it again. If he told the sea where to part, and it did, he'll do it again in your life. Dry bones, they will come alive again. I don't care how long your marriage has been dead, it can come alive again. I don't care how long that relationship has been broken, he can do it and heal it and redeem it again. I don't care how long your addiction has plagued you in the middle of the night. He can still break the chains of freedom in your life again. That's who our God is. That's what he does. Just don't treat the stuck moment like punishment. Oh, but even still, while Joseph knew God has a plan, he was forgotten. But even when the cupbearer forgot about him, God never did. Because God's memory is better than any of the best mercy of man. And your response while stuck matters. Because for me, really, it's not the shark that makes that story. It's my reaction to feeling stuck in the water, stuck with the shark, that makes the story absurd. That panic, that desperation, it's how many of us respond when we're spiritually or emotionally or physically stuck. And we kind of have a few options that we all like to go to, and everybody kind of has their one that they go to more themselves. Some of us, we isolate. I'm stuck. Nobody likes me anyway. Nobody wants me around anyway. I'll just go over here by myself. And the enemy's like, I got them. Because when they're by themselves, I can get them. I can get in their mind. I can get in their heart. Ain't nobody else around them reminding them who they are. Ain't nobody else around them sticking up with them and saying, hey, wait a minute, you got this. Come on, let's go together. We isolate. Do you isolate? Don't isolate. How you respond to the stuckness matters. We try to force solutions. We climb over people, shove them under the water. His little Hawaiian dude, he could swim. He's good. I hugged him afterward. I gave him a good tip, Millie. I'm sorry. But we try to find our own solutions and force it because we think, oh, well, I'll just get me out of this mess. And most likely what happens, we create a bigger mess. We take it out on the people around us. This is one I used to do a lot. I'm getting better at because of daddy issues and defaults and all the words that I don't like that are hard. Aaron and I were just in DC a couple weeks ago for work. He was working all day in a workshop. And I spent that day, it was like a Thursday, writing the message for the next Sunday. And so the next morning when we got up, it was like, hey, we're here in DC. Let's go see all the monuments. We got to do all the things. Even though we've been here before, it's always fun and awesome. Let's do it. So our hotel had bikes. We took the bikes. We raced down to the White House, and it's like a beautiful morning and the perfect time. We take a picture. It's so cute. I should have put it up so you can see it, but whatever. I already flexed too much with my pictures that I love so much. Just kidding. And so the girl hands me back my phone this one girl after taking my picture, and Aaron pulls his phone, and he's like, oh, no. And I'm like, what? He's like, oh, no. And he has the kind of phone that has like a wallet in it with all the cards, and all his cards were gone. And like we're in DC, we have to get on an airplane to go home, which means you have to have a driver's license, right? And so I'm like, where is it? I don't know. Oh, shoot. I noticed that it had some cash in, then I spent the cash, so it made it loose, and I should have put that other card in, but I didn't do it. And I'm like, let's just retrace our steps. It's fine. Let's go. Let's retrace our steps. And so we literally get back on the bike for 45 minutes. We're riding slowly back through everywhere we've been, all the way back to our hotel. And he's like, I'm gonna go talk to the bellman and the front desk person, and I'm like, I'm gonna run upstairs, and I run up there, I get on the floor, I look all over the place, go over by his bedside, everywhere, I don't see him. I'm like, oh my word, I'm Googling, like, how much does it cost to ship? You can't do it in 12 hours. Like, I'm like, how do we get a driver's license? How long is the drive back to Texas? Oh, over a day, cool. Like, and I'm like trying to figure it out, and then I have this feeling like, just go look one more time. And I like climb down under the bed and where the nightstand is, and I go way back, and it's all the way behind the bedpost in the bedroom right next to where he slept. And I literally text him, you owe me a pony. I never wanted a pony before, but it sounded like a good idea at the time. A big pony, yeah. And so found the cards, everything was fine, but we were talking about it later after we got back on the bikes and went back to the next monument or whatever, and he's like, you know what, I'm proud of you because before you dealt with your defaults, he's like, I was yelling, I'm such an idiot the whole time. Like he kept saying, I'm such an idiot. And I was like, no, you're not. They just fell out. It's just silly. It's just life. And he's like, but that's not what you used to say. You used to say, yeah, why didn't you listen to me when I told you it was loose and you should have da-da-da and you would have did. And he's like, and I was like, yeah, but I just learned that like all that does is hurt you and hurt us and hurt everything. And just because I'm afraid, yelling's not going to change the outcome. Exactly. It's really good. But that's not who I used to be. And so we have to just be willing to look at our defaults of how we respond when we're stuck so that we can get to the other side and be more like Joseph and walk in the faithfulness and the consistency and the readiness. The other one sometimes is we let fear dictate our decisions. We're presented with a decision and it's actually a God blessing, an opportunity, something but we're so fearful that we just make this decision instead to stay safe. We forget that he will catch us, that he already delivered us from a pit, that he already delivered us from the people who were trying to kill us, that he already delivered us from all kinds of things. And so if he's presenting it, instead of making a decision based in fear, we ought to make a decision based in faith. But how we react and respond when we're stuck, it really matters. Because being stuck isn't the enemy, but your reaction can be. We can cause ourselves to go round and round in circles because we're unwilling to let God just move in the moment and give us the faith to have the right reaction and the right response when we're stuck. What if Joseph had panicked? He forgot me, you don't understand, I don't belong here, I don't deserve this, I shouldn't. What if he went full Shawshank Redemption and was trying to escape himself? And he got killed trying to escape, or he actually did escape and he wasn't there in the place that he was supposed to be in the moment when God said, I'm gonna deliver you. I don't care if you're the reason why you're in prison or if you're not. Either one. Do not let the shame of being there keep you from being ready in the moment when he brings the opportunity. Because the setback really is a setup. Genesis 41:1. After 2 whole years, even the Bible knows it's a long time, 2 whole years, Pharaoh dreamed. You see, God took this moment of opportunity for Pharaoh to dream, to take Joseph, the dreamer, to the right moment in the right place where he needed to be. And in it says in verse 9, then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, I remember. 2 years he forgot. And then one day, all of a sudden, I remember. You do not have to worry about getting your name where it's supposed to be. God will put your name in rooms that you're not in the moment it needs to be. He will call to remembrance your name and your face in spaces and places that you can never put yourself, no matter how hard you try or how hard you scheme or how hard you try to work it out. He's the God who makes a way where there is no way. And his promises are yes and amen. And he tells us that we can remind him of his promises. Now that's not really for him to remember, that's just for us to remember. Because he already remembered, he never forgot. But he tells us that we can call on his promises, that you are a God who says, train them up in the way they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. You can promise and stand on his word that he's a God who never leaves or forsakes. That he is the same yesterday, today, and forever, same God. You can call on his promises in moments of stuckness to remind yourself he remembers you. And he will call you to mind in the moment that's necessary, because the prison was just a hallway to the palace. He was right where he needed to be in the moment he needed to be there for the moment of maximum impact. You see, this setup was for the strategy that God had been preparing behind the scenes for a really long time. And he wasn't ignoring Joseph, he was shaping him until the very right moment. Just because it's hard does not mean it is a halt. It is just a moment for him to continue to develop you into who he wants you to be. Just because you feel hidden, just because you seem hidden, does not mean that you are not being handled by the God of the universe. That he's not orchestrating and working everything on our behalf. Pastor Trustin says that our God plays 3-dimensional chess, not checkers. So he's moving things in and he's moving things out. He's moving people in and he's moving people out. And you can trust and know that if he's doing it, if he started it, he's gonna finish it. And even when it feels like it's falling apart, sometimes God allows things to fall apart because really they're falling into place. And you just gotta get out of the way so that they can fall into place correctly. So that you don't pick up the pieces and try to put it back yourself. And he's like, I'm just right here trying to do it, but you're getting in my way. So, verse 14, Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they quickly quickly. When God is ready to move, he moves quickly. You can trust and believe, but suddenly he's gonna do it. Quickly brought him out of the pit. And when he had shaved himself and changed his clothes, he came in before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream and there is no one who can interpret it. I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, it is not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. In the moment that he's called to be victorious, he don't take the credit. It ain't me, it's him. And don't forget, when you're stuck, in the moment of victory, the moment of freedom, the moment it comes, who's the one who broke the chains in the first place? Who's the one who brought the deliverance in the first place? And so, the Pharaoh tells him his dreams. There were 7 plump cows and 7 poor ugly cows. The ugly cows ate the plump cows. This is his dream. Then he had another dream. 7 full ears of corn were swallowed up by 7 thin ears of corn. And so Joseph's like, cool. And so all of the sorcerers and the magic people and all the things, they could not interpret this dream for Pharaoh, but God gave Joseph the interpretation of this dream in just the right moment it was needed, not just for Pharaoh's benefit, not just for Joseph's benefit, but watch this, for the benefit of all the people. Sometimes we're so frustrated at his timing, but he's working it for all the people. I remember when we moved here, our house had been for sale for 9 months in literally one of the most desirable neighborhoods in Tulsa, and I could not understand what was happening. But the same week that we got the offer on the house was the same week that Aaron got the offer for the job here, was also the same week that a boy for a church that was behind our house got offered a youth pastor job and needed a house, and he's the one who put the offer on the house. And God answered so many prayers in one moment for multiple people in the right timing in the right week. And I was so ticked. I was so mad. God, I don't understand. I don't get it. It should have sold 3 months ago. It should have. But his timing, his way, his plan. If we can trust it and believe it and not get spiritual amnesia, Phil, then we can remember it for next time. He's there now. I pointed, he was over there. Now he's right there. Okay, so, but not only does Joseph go and interpret the dream, he answers boldly. He says, okay, Pharaoh, here's what's going on. So what happened in your dream means that there's gonna be 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. And so what you need to do is you need to find someone who is discerning and wise. You need to put them over the land and make a plan to save some of the crop from the years of plenty to take care of the land and the people in the years of famine. He answers boldly, confidently, full of wisdom. Interprets the dream, which he's been comfortable with, something he's known about, but then also just speaks up in some wisdom of like, here's what you ought to do. And I imagine while he's doing it, he's like, oh my word, what are you saying, bro? You're just a prisoner. He's gonna cut your head off. But instead, he's like, all authority that's given to me from heaven and earth is in me, and so I'm gonna speak out what God's telling me to say. So there's a lot of places I could go in the story here, talking about God and giving him all the credit, which is really important. I could go the whole direction of like, don't just see problems, solve problems, because everybody can see a problem, but if you actually want to be helpful in life, you should all help solve the problem. But the part I could not get out of my spirit all week is that when the moment of opportunity comes, when the moment that God sets the God dream in front of you, you've just got to trust the transfer. You got to trust the transfer of experience in your life. You got to trust the transfer of the story that you've walked through. You've got to trust the transfer of the pit moments and the prison moments. You've got to trust it. Where did that wisdom come from? Years of unseen obedience. Where did he learn all of that leadership? Well, in places where no one applauded. Trusting God in dungeons and in disappointments. He didn't second guess the opportunity just because his experience didn't look like a palace. It didn't look like Pharaoh's world. He just trusted that God brought me to this moment, so I'm just gonna be who I am and use what I have to do what God's asking me to do right now. He didn't come from Pharaoh's palace, he came from prison. He wasn't trained in politics, he was trained in pain. He didn't graduate from the best school, he graduated from literally the school of suffering. And he could have talked himself out of the moment real good, and I think we do that to ourselves all the time. This is not my lane. I really shouldn't speak up. What will they think? What will they say? I've never led a nation before. Like what? If I tell him that I think he ought to do this, he's gonna think that I ought to be the one to, who am I to speak into this? I don't even know. But instead, he just trusted that God doesn't waste the experience. He transfers it. I want you to hear me. He does not waste your experience. He does not waste the years that have a little bit felt wasted. He's gonna transfer it to something new, to something more, to something better. Some of you will miss your God opportunities if you assume that your experience is irrelevant. Let me say it again. Some of you will miss your God opportunities if you assume your experience is irrelevant. That can mean about a job or not. That can mean about all kind of moments and opportunities. You do not need palace polish. Joseph in that moment needed prison perspective. What feels ordinary to you might be exactly what God needs to use for that moment. Are you disqualifying yourself because your background doesn't feel impressive? Or because your past feels too shameful? I'm almost done. I'll wrap up quick. We'll get done. I've been getting us out on time the last few weeks, but today I'm just like, have you convinced yourself that you are not called because your journey has not looked conventional? Like, are you holding back in conversations because you think your story doesn't apply? Some of the most personal things are the most universal things, and yet the enemy gets us tricked into thinking we're the only one. Have you let insecurity silence what your history has prepared for you to say? Are you sitting out of God's purpose because your background just feels too broken? And if they only knew, or if they ever found out. Don't let your resume talk you out of a role that God has specifically designed and ordained for you. I get it. I've had people tell me before, sorry, your resume doesn't look right. You didn't have the right education. Nope, sorry, you can't apply for this because you don't qualify, you don't meet the expectations. But we cannot listen to the words of man over the words of God. When he brings us an opportunity, man, I've seen God use working at a photography studio right out of high school to help me be a better mom to my kids. I've seen him use putting makeup on people's faces, help me learn how to work in a dentist office one day. I've seen him use cosmetics and dentistry and motherhood and photography to make me a better pastor to serve and love people. And none of that sounds like it goes together on paper. But the transfer experience in your life, he will predestine and plan according to his purpose, his will, and his plan. Do not dismiss your experience just because you think it wasn't glamorous. Joseph's credentials weren't royal, they were real. He wasn't a farmer or a ecologist or like a politician. He just was a dude who learned how to survive before. And he used his wisdom in the moment to help a whole nation learn how to survive again. Man, don't hold back. Don't allow yourself to convince yourself that this God moment isn't for you. At More Church, we say it all the time, we believe there's more because we know that our God is a God who doesn't leave us where we are, but instead he takes us into glory, into glory, into glory, into more, to be more like him, to be used by him until the moment that we go to heaven. And so there is more for you. If you're in this room, he has something more in store, but don't miss it. Don't disqualify yourself when he's the one who qualified you in the first place. So Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find a man like this, in whom is the Spirit of God?" So again, God gets all the glory here, which is an incredible part of the story. And then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Well, since God has shown you all this, there's none as discerning and wise as you are. So you shall be over my house." Pharaoh asks the question and then answers it in the same sentence for himself. "Can we get someone like you? Actually, you're here. Why don't it just go ahead and be you?" And he says, "You shall be over my house, and all of my people shall order themselves as you command." It don't matter how long somebody else has been somewhere. It don't matter what their resume looks like. It don't matter what their pedigree looks like. When God wants to use you, there's no one in the way. There's nothing that can stop what he wants to do. "Only as regards to the throne will I be greater than you." Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt." Verse 44, "I am Pharaoh, and without your consent," not without Pharaoh's consent, but without Joseph's consent, "no one shall lift up a hand or a foot in all the land of Egypt." He didn't have to take the time to prove himself. He didn't have to take the time to work himself and show up at 6 a.m. when they told him to get there at 7:30 and stay till 7 p.m. even though his kids were waiting on him because he thought he would just look better and more impressive. He didn't have to do all that. Right in the moment, God qualified him and Pharaoh said, "Okay, I choose you right now." And Pharaoh, "I'm Pharaoh, without your consent, no one shall lift up a hand or foot in all of the land." And then it says that Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Do you remember how old he was when he got thrown in the pit? 17. That's a long time. And some of you have been feeling like it's been a long time. I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling forgotten. I already tried that before and it didn't go the way I thought. But if it's not finished, it's not done. If you're alive, if you're breathing, he still has more. The plan that he has for your life is not complete. And even though it took him 13 years to get where he was going, God had a mighty plan in store, and it was at the proper time. That's the part we can't miss. Like the maximum impact of him being second in command, because there's more to the story. Not today, I know, we're done. But there's more that we're going to talk about over the next few weeks. There's more to the story, but he had to get him right here to this moment in the right timing and the right plan. And trust and believe that he's getting you to this right moment, to the right timing and the right plan. As he looked out on the lights of the city, right? I imagine that night he thought, wow, the palace really is still possible. I want you to believe it with all your heart that the palace is still possible. That he still is working things on your behalf. If you feel stuck or forgotten, the palace is still possible. It's not over yet. Wait 5 more minutes. Be willing to do the hard work. Be willing to face some things. Don't rot in your cell. Don't settle in your dysfunction. Don't sit down while God's like, hey, baby, stand up. I have more for you. Even if it feels like everyone forgot you, God has not. And even if the palace feels impossible, it is not. Because he is a God who makes the way. So get up, lead again, try again, dream again. Don't stop believing. Not with panic, but with peace. Not with clawing and chaos, but with calling. With the purpose to trust and believe the palace is still possible because he sits on the throne.